So, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Academy series after 4 weeks hiatus of this series. I am Kert Rohtjarv as always. Alongside me this time is Lorenzo Eterovic-Funcic, and cameras is doing Fabian Jungbluth. How are you, Lorenzo?
Well, I'm doing perfectly fine, thank you for asking, Kurt. But yes, the Academy series is finally back after a bit of a prolonged break, following the Italian round at the Misano track, the Misano circuit. I do not remember the full name, but that is beside the point. The Academy series went on prolonged break due to lack of attendance, which had come into effect following the German Grand Prix at the Hockenheim, after which attendance fairly steadily dropped off. Only 12 people attended the rounds at the Hungaroring and at Manicourt, and at Misano there's only 6 people, so the management decided to take a break, and we are now back with the Academy series here at Zandvoort. And luckily there seems to be more people compared to Misano. Not quite a full grid, only 15 people from what I can see, but compared to the previous 3 rounds, it's, or even compared to the previous round, just it's not a big difference from Hungary this round in terms of attendance, only 3 more people, but still nice to see that there is still people willing to do the Academy series, both returning and new entries.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate events after Misano. As you said, lack of competition in Academy series, which we have seen every year after summer or on the summer period, as everyone is taking a break and just enjoying life. But yeah, it's really uncommon sighting that we see it on the autumn season, and also nice to see the pigeon, or not pigeon, seagull.
Pigeon.
Pigeon, yeah, apologies. Seagull that me and Rodrigo spotted last year, if anyone is familiar with last year's stream from Academy Series Zandvoort. So yeah, our old fella is back, so yeah, nice to see him.
Yeah, obviously, seeing as Zandvoort is right next to the Northern Sea, obviously there'll be quite a lot of seagulls, not just one, but plenty. And fortunately, let's hope that there's more drivers than seagulls to be seen this race. As we see, one driver did fall out while we were talking. It was G. Kelamendi. I did not quite catch the driver's first name, but we do see Mateusz Piszczan has now decided to turn up fairly late for this race. I'm fairly certain he does not hold a primary contract or emergency. I'm not quite sure what type of contract he holds at RGS, but it's definitely nice to see someone who has competed in the career ladder for the past couple of seasons give us a bit of a visit. We also see some fairly interesting names, I would like to say, and that I'd like to keep an eye out on for this qualifying session. Alessandro Iannone, one of them. As we see him there.
Name.
A returning name indeed. Has done a couple of rounds in Academy earlier this year. To be specific, he did compete at the rounds from Turkey to Indianapolis. Took a bit of a hiatus himself as well, but now seems to be back, and was back last week as well for both Formula Sprint 2 and Formula Sprint 1. Formula Sprint 2, obviously very impressive performance, getting Scuderia Freccianero's second podium of the season so far, if I'm not mistaken, getting a second place in race 2, only being beaten that race by my co-commentator here. And also in Formula Sprint 1, getting a very good P10 on debut in race 1, and getting that reverse grid pole position and holding on to that first place for 19 of the 21 laps. Unfortunately, tried to form too big of a gap too early on, went through his tyres and wasn't able to hold on to that lead. But definitely a very, very promising driver on today's grid. I don't see him staying in academy for long, and I don't see him being in academy next season either, Kurt.
Yeah, as you said, really impressive result for him in FS2, as you said. Not FS2, FS1, as you said. 19 laps led. FS1 has quite a strong competition on the grid, so yeah, it's amazing to see that we have such talent coming from new talent coming from Academy Series and performing instantly. So yeah. Who knows what 2026 will bring? Very interesting grid, I think, in FS2, or even in FS1, or maybe the probability is low, but maybe in SL1 even.
Absolutely, as you did mention the probabilities of different grids all across the career ladder for next season. I will use this chance to remind the people watching, if they are not aware, that GPVWC has indeed opened their team entry applications for the 2026 season the previous Wednesday, or was it Friday? I'm not quite sure, but either way, they will be open until the end of the month, and for any people out there who are looking at trying to enter their own team, trying to expand their horizons either in R-Factor 2 or in sim racing in general, this is a fairly welcoming community, and we would be more than happy to have you on board. And yeah, speaking also of shake-ups on the grid, some new entries can be seen for today's race as well. 2 debutants, if I'm not no, 3 debutants, apologies. Anthony Duval is one of them, who, from what I could have seen in the official practice session and in the official practice server for the Academy Series, seemed fairly promising and one of the best lap setters out there, so it'll be interesting to see him perform today. Currently though, we are watching Sergei Soroka set his first lap, and of course Purple Sector 1 so far provisionally, and let's see what the Sector 2 time will be to beat for the others, as Nova McKenna seems to be beating Sergei Soroka's lap time. Well, not lap times, sector times already. 39.4 Sector 1 and 23.1 Sector 2. Seem to be purple so far, but a bit of a slide there through the penultimate turn, the Kumho, and now onto the banked turn, which, as someone who does stock car racing somewhat frequently, it's fairly important to take that right as well as all the other turns. Zandvoort, especially interesting here. One of only 2 tracks that we've used this season. Well, when you put it that way, it doesn't seem that impressive, but the only other track that has a banked corner is Indianapolis, and Indianapolis really is first and foremost an oval track. So it's not really surprising, but Zandvoort is a track that has banked turns, and that's fairly unusual, especially for road courses, and especially in Europe, I'd like to say. As we see David de Jont rounding that final bank turn, has set purple sector 1s and 2s, and he seems to be fairly certain to beat Nova McKenna's lap time, and he does at 29.883, 3/4 of a second to the point faster than Nova McKenna in second.
Yeah, as you said about corner bankings, then yeah, it may come a surprise to much people, but actually Indianapolis banking is maybe, if I'm correct, 7 degrees, but here in Zandvoort it is 11 or 15 or 14, somewhere there. So yeah, from TV it may seem that it isn't very steep here in Zandvoort, but if you are driving it, then you will feel the wheels just pulling you. So yeah, as you can see here, they are basically 45 degrees off 0 degrees. So yeah, it's huge bankings here.
Well, I wouldn't particularly say they were huge, but for cars like these, they're definitely notable. And as we saw there, Luka Yibok, a returning driver, has only done one academy round this season, that being the Hockenheim round we mentioned previously. Apologies. Yes, that is right. The only Romanian driver we have had on the academy grid this season. As we now look at one of 3 Indians we have had on the academy grid this season, Niranjan Kumar, who returns after last being seen, if I'm not mistaken, at the Bahrain Grand Prix, which was the season opener for Academy and GPVWC as a whole, currently in 4th position, 0.757 behind David Junt on pole. Christian Vazda returns to Academy. We've not actually seen him much outside of Academy. He has had one emergency round for Formula Sprint 2 at Mexico. Unfortunately, didn't go quite well for him. Does seem to be, well, 10 seconds off, but that seems to... Oh, well, it seems that we've accidentally commentator cursed Christian there, but with 8.5 minutes left of qualifying, I'm sure he'll improve his lap time and won't be that far off pole position by the end of things. Jurek Retochel now rounding the penultimate turn. Also another driver who's had a couple of Formula Sprint 2 outings with emergency contracts, and another driver who's had fairly impressive results in Academy so far this year. Objectively speaking though, a bit helped by the lack of people attending, but seems to be doing well so far. 0.704 behind Junt in pole, and that puts him in 3rd place.
Yeah, also I'm looking at timetable in race view. Anthony Duval is actually having quite nice pace, and he is P3 now.
We just missed him crossing the line, and I didn't mention Anthony Duval earlier on. One driver who seemed to be setting fairly consistent, fairly good lap times in the practice server. Saves the spin fairly well. Unfortunately, does ruin his lap, but still, fortunately enough, it is private qualifying, so there's no one on the track to hit him. But still, as I was saying, one driver seemed to be setting fairly consistent and fairly good lap times, so one to watch for this race for sure. Amr Al-Hafi, who is also returning to the Academy Series following 2 previous outings at Donington and Hockenheim, currently in 14th and currently green in both Sector 1 and 2, 1.7 up on his personal best in Sector 1 and 1.5 in Sector 2. A bit of a wiggle there through the penultimate turn off into the gravel. That'll cost him some time, but hopefully not that much so as to impede his personal best. The time is counting down. It is a 1:36.2, 6.3 off of David Junt in 1st place. Unfortunately, as we see David Junt, who did set a purple Sector 1 by 1,000th of a second, seems to be struggling with grip a bit there and is now 1.3 down in Sector 2, so that's definitely not going to be an improvement from him, unfortunately. Alessandro Iannone 0.1 up in Sector 1, but 0.6 down in Sector 2. This Sector 3 will be crucial if he wants to beat David Junt to pole position, and I don't see him beating him this lap at 30.8, no improvement in lap time or position, so he'll have to have another go at it. As we see Max Livingston now, one of 3 debutants today, starting his next hot lap, currently 1.1 seconds behind David Junt on pole position in 9th place, behind yet another debutant in Chris Deximo in 8th place, who is currently 0.8 behind David Junt. Let's see how Max Livingston does on his hot lap. Will it be an improvement in Sector 1?
Let's see.
Not quite 0.4 off his personal best, so he will have to pick up his pace in the last two sectors if he wants to improve in this lap. Question is, will he be able to pull that off?
I would say the sector 1 is quite tricky here, because you have the Dars and Gerlach and Hugenholz, which are quite tricky corners, so yeah, debutants, yeah, it's a bit stupid to compare them to David Yant, who is quite experienced driver in academy. We have still an primary seat in FS2, which I hope he will find in 2026, as Max Livingston now has his Sector 3 personal best, but yeah, does not improve on his overall lap time.
No, and has in fact dropped to 10th position, but so has Chris Deximo, who's dropped to 9th, which means someone has overtaken, and we did not quite get to see who it was, but I think it might have been either Jiri Kratochwil or Martin Reitberg, who we are following right now. Martin Reitberg, who's attended every round so far in this academy season, one of two people who has done that, the other one being David Yunt, currently on pole position. This is his home Grand Prix, so he'd be hoping to do fairly well here, and seeing as he's now 3/10 up on his personal best in Sector 1, he might just be set for that, Kurt.
Yeah, here we see 0.4 of a second slower than David Yunt in Sector 1, which is not too bad, I would say. Reitberg has driven Academy Series quite long, and yeah, it's nice to see he's improving on his pace. But here is Nirajan Kumar on 4th position right now. It's going to be an interesting lap time. Let's see how his third sector has turned out, and it is an improvement. 1:30.4.
It is an improvement in lap time, but I do not think he's jumped anyone position-wise, and he hasn't. He's remained in P4, and the person who he was potentially one of the people who was chasing Anthony Duval in P3 was up on his personal best in Sector 1, unfortunately down in Sector 2, 0.4 up in Sector 1, and then 0.6 down in Sector 2. As we see, Sergei Soroka has now jumped Martin Reitberg for P5, while Anthony Duval was setting his lap time. As he rounds the final turn onto the front stretch, will he be able to improve in Sector 3, and his overall lap time is a 30.6, and it's a purple Sector 3. Unfortunately, no improvement in lap time or position, but that is a very, very good Sector 3 by Duval. As we now move on to Alessandro Iannone, who's one position up from him in P2. A personal best Sector 1, but yet again Sector 2 seems to be where the drivers are losing most of their time that they gain in Sector 1. It was 0.292 up in Sector 1 and then 0.262 down in Sector 2.
Yeah, also now Ione now finishing his lap time, and it is... And as in the meanwhile, Chris Deximo jumps up to 3rd.
And that's impressive from the Filipino debutant here. Chris Deximo now in P3, only 0.6 off of David Yunt. And you didn't mention it's not fair to compare debutants to someone who's as experienced in the Academy Series as David Yunt. But I feel like Deximo himself can be fairly proud of that lap time as it stands. And it doesn't seem at the moment that Anthony Duval will be jumping him, as Niranjan Kumar looked for a second to be jumping Anthony Duval himself, but in the end it's only 6th place for Kumar so far. Anthony Duval was 0.3 up in Sector 1 and yet again 0.7 down in Sector 2, so it remains to be seen how he will do Sector 3. 0.4 down is 31.2 and no improvement in lap time or position for Duval, as it was indeed Sergei Soroka who's jumped Chris Deximo for P3. Apologies.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting fight for P3, as here Alessandro Ion are now improving on all sectors, first and second. Now he is on the third sector. Now final corner, Ariel Duyendik Bocht, and let's see what is the lap time. It's an improvement a bit, but he doesn't improve his position against David Yant.
And that would have been his last lap, as he's crossed the line after the checkered flag has been waved. Martin Reitberg also done with qualifying for the day. Mateusz Pescian seems to have started his final lap right before the checkered flag waved. So there's still a couple people out there setting lap times. David Junt seems to not be done yet. Nova McKenna in 7th. Luka Jibok in 11th. Mateusz Pescian in 12th. And Christian Vaza down in last currently. No, as we say that, Christian Vaza enters the pit lane. And Luka Jibok seems to be in the pit lane as well. David Junt seems to be wanting to solidify his pole position, although he doesn't seem to be fairly successful. He looks like he might have had a spin or something, because he's 9.7 down in Sector 1. But I don't think he'll be bothered by it too much, as everyone else other than him has already gone into the pit lane, which means he will indeed be on pole position for race 1. This lap isn't really important. He'll basically use it just as a bit more practice, wouldn't he?
Yeah, this I will agree. Yeah, maybe a bigger fuel load now.
Yeah, and he enters the pit lane, and David Junt, the last man on track, is no longer on track, as he enters the pit lane on pole position for today's race 1. Alessandro Iannone joins him on the front row in P2, as Sergei Soroka is in P3, and our highest placed debutant today, Chris Deximo, in P4. Anthony Duval and Niranjan Kumar form row 3 in P5 and 6, Nova McKenna and Martin Reitberg in 7th and 8th, and to round out the top 10, Jiří Kratochvil and Max Livingston. Moving on to the last 5 people on the grid, and in qualifying, Luka Zibok in 11th, Mateusz Pescian in 12th, Amir Reutz in 13th, Amr Al-Hafi in 14th, and Christian Vazar in 15th. Right then, usually we would be taking a break in between the qualifying and the race, but I feel like there's a couple of fun facts that we could share instead while we wait for the drivers to do their warm-up and while we wait for the race itself. 15 drivers today, I didn't mention that 3 of them are debutants. They would be Anthony Duval, Chris Deximo, and Max Livingston. Max Livingston and Anthony Duval, the 2 Englishmen. Anthony Duval seems to be getting the hang of the cars fairly better than Max Livingston so far, but I did also see Anthony Duval more often on the practice server, so it seems like he was also able to have much more time with the car himself than Max Livingston. But that's nothing for Max Livingston to be ashamed of, because for what it's worth, for how little time he's had with the car so far, to be almost within a second of pole position is absolutely nothing to be ashamed of, and I'm excited to see how both of them perform today. The 3rd debutant today, Chris Deximo, hailing from the Philippines. I think he is the first Filipino to have driven this season in the Academy Series. No, apologies, he's the 2nd one. The first one, Haruki Jr., who was exceptional in Academy. Unfortunately, following an incident at the Formula Sprint 2 Hungarian Grand Prix, Haruki Jr. is no longer a member of the racing scene within GPVWC, so it does not appear we will be seeing him anytime soon. Couple of returning drivers here who we haven't seen in quite a while. Amr Al-Hafi is one I'd like to point out. the first Syrian this season, and in any season really, of GPVWC to have, well, performed at any series within GPVWC. So nice to see Syrian representation, it would seem. Nice to see Amral Hafi back on the grid. Luka Yibok, I mentioned him, the first Romanian driver to be in Academy this season. So hopefully we get to see him perform today, as well as we see someone off in the distance there. There's definitely some names today to look out for. Mateusz Peshan, one of them. He did start the season super lights before being allowed by management to step down into Formula Sprint 2, following some fairly disappointing results for everyone involved with him. And I do feel for him, but hopefully he does better in today's Academy race. Any drivers that have caught your eye so far, Kurt?
I would say everyone, because which is a common thing for Academy series, that you never know who is going to win the races. Sorry. Also, Zandvoort is quite tricky, can be, but isn't always. But yeah, it's the only time will tell. Because yeah, I'm not gonna make predictions, because most of them haven't gone the right way, and I have just unfortunately cursed someone. So yeah, I'm not a good predictor for races or some like that. So yeah.
Well, what would be the fun if people were good at predicting things? You just know everything that will happen, and then you'd have no joy in watching the things that unfold in front of you. But fortunately enough, nobody in this booth has that gift, so we'll be in for some great racing, and hopefully the people watching these races will be as well. As well, we can only hope that these races, despite the low attendance, only 15 drivers yet again, as we mentioned earlier, but still hoping to see some good racing today.
Yeah, doubtful. The good racing. But
Why would you say that?
yeah, season start wasn't the nicest, but actually now, after the one half is done of the Academy series, then yeah, the driving standards have improved massively. So yeah, clean racing, it's been a common thing now. In Misano we don't see any crashes almost because of the low attendance. So yeah, there was nothing to talk about as well in Misano. But yeah, I agree with you. And today here at Zandvoort, that we see quite clean racing from these drivers.
I'd say it's been more than half a season, as you said. We're in October already, it's almost the end. It's the last month of the season, actually.
Yeah, it's sad.
It is. In a way, it's sad. But in a way, I feel like everyone involved with the league could definitely use a break that we'll have during the winter. But
yeah, I
well,
would say it's sadder for me because I'm gonna take a bigger break than others, so it will be my last year.
Yes, you mentioned. Will we be seeing you return though, either as commentator or as driver anytime in the future?
Time will tell, I would say. Nothing is for sure. Of course I want to return someday again, but yeah, it is quite certain you won't see me next year on both jobs. Maybe I'm a super sub, let's see how the time goes. Yeah, nothing is for certain, as I said before, so it's sad, but life is cruel, and yeah, I just need to accept the fact that you don't have the time for anything.
I wouldn't put it that way. I understand your point of view, but saying life is cruel over not being able to participate in GPVWC because of school requirements. I wouldn't say that's cruel, you know?
Well, yeah, it's debatable. It's just you don't have the free time as you had like when you were younger. So.
That's true, but there's also crueler things out there.
Oh, yeah, you don't say. I know. There can be much cruel things, yeah.
Yeah. But no. Will be interesting to see, seeing as you said that you will not be participating next year, to see whether anyone from today's group will be participating next year. I know some people have already been garnering attention, both recently and over the season. I would not be surprised if someone like David Yont or Alessandro Iannone manages to find a seat somewhere within the career ladder for next season. Mateusz Piszczan as well. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if we see him return somewhere within the career ladder. I did have a bit of a talk with him recently. He did say that his results recently have been a bit demotivating, but you know, he's someone who's won within the career ladder before, and I think all he needs is just a team that'll stand behind him, and he'll manage to find his footing again and get back on track, which, you know, for someone of his skill, I don't think that's hard at all.
It's a time will tell. Let's see. Also, yeah, I just want to give a chance to a lot of young talent that we have in the Academy Series, because it's just a shame to me, because you know, we have a lot of young talent, but they just don't get the chance in FS2. We just teams just keep recruiting like old people who have already like experience in FS2, but come on, take some young talent, let's see what they can do. But no. Yeah,
well, it's definitely a valid point of view, but at the same time you do have to consider the lack of attendance within the Academy Series for the past 3 rounds. This would be the 4th round really, where there's been 15 or less drivers on the grid. So while I do understand your point of view, there's also definitely that to take into account. We've seen the Academy team within Formula Sprint 2 as well, but pulling at strings at times with getting people who have either not competed within Academy or GPWC for that matter for quite a while to be able to field both cars, or just fielding drivers who do not appear quite that bit prepared for Formula Sprint 2 and the career ladder yet. We've seen some incidents, including the Academy cars lately, that probably could have been avoided with a bit more, not even quality within the field, just field in general. And yeah, hopefully that is something that does change for 2026, and we do see an Academy Series that has plenty of people for, well, most if not all of the season, and not only the Academy team but teams in general from all within the career ladder are able to look at the Academy Series, pay more attention to the Academy Series really, and find those hidden gems, because who knows how many potentially good career ladder drivers could be on this grid today. We could be looking at someone like Chris Deximo, for example, who got 5th in qualifying, not 5th, sorry, who got, no, sorry, yes, 5th in qualifying, or 4th, yes, 4th in qualifying today. See, I've already done with my brain what who we just spectated did.
Maybe he will be a future world champion, who knows?
That's exactly what I'm trying to get across. I feel like for next season, more teams should be paying attention to the Academy Series, because the Academy Series cannot sustain itself. It needs a bit more care and love and attention from not just the teams, it's themselves, because the Academy Series serves as a stepping stone for people entering the series, and you can't expect a stepping stone to function if there's no stairs furthermore to climb up. Teams, understandably so, look after drivers who they already know better, but if they're someone who you can't rely on all the time to be able to step in, because as we all know, you only get 4 rounds as an emergency driver within any career ladder series. What if that one person who you know already either used up all those emergency drives or isn't able to drive in that race? That's what the Academy Series is for, to look for those people who look promising, who feel like and who probably could, with enough guidance and support, do it within the career ladder. That's what the Academy Series is for. And I feel like the Academy Series hasn't received a lot of that this season, unfortunately. But hopefully we do see that change for next year.
Yeah, most teams are just anxious for the championship win, because everyone is just trying to win the constructors in FS2, for example, and that's why they don't take like young talents from academy, because they are just too anxious about the championship, and they just want good results. But then I would just congratulate them. Congratulations, you are killing slowly Academy Series. So what's the point of it anymore?
Enough about that, though. We've talked enough about the future. We've talked enough about the past. I feel like it's about time we look at the present, and the present is the first of tonight's 2 races here at Zandvoort in the Academy Series, as we take a look again at the starting grid, with David Junt and Alessandro Iannone first and second on the front row, with Sergei Soroka and Chris Deximo third and fourth. In P5, Anthony Duval, and P6, Niranjan Kumar. Noah McKenna in 7th and Martin Reitberg in 8th, the only Dutch driver here at today's Dutch Grand Prix. Jurek Tochel in 9th, Max Livingston rounds out the top 10, with Luka Jibok in 11th and Mateusz Peschan in 12th. In 13th, Ame Oates, in 14th, Amral Hafi, and in 15th and last place, Christian Vazda. So it will be 15 drivers today for 15 laps around the Zandvoort twice. So let's see which of these drivers does well, which of these drivers does less well. In the end, nobody here knows how these races will turn out, so let's just hope that they turn out as entertaining as possible for everyone involved.
I would say there is 16 drivers on this grid. Position 0 is the my call pigeon.
I kind of feel like that's cheating, because pigeon.
Yeah, that's why I said he is in position 0. That's why. So
I don't know.
forget him.
No. Yeah, I don't know about pigeons, but I've seen seagulls about.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of things in my lifetime. Anyways, we agree that it is a pigeon. Oh, Amir is in the pits.
Do we now?
Yeah.
Amir Oates, who usually we see in the commentary booth, we see today on track, so best of luck out there, Amir.
There he is.
That's a seagull.
That's a pigeon.
No, enough about seagulls and pigeons. There's 15 cars that
16.
we should be... Come off it, mate. Anyways, as we see the lights turning on 3, 4, 5, as they go out and the Dutch Grand Prix starts, as Alessandro Iannone seemed to have stalled on the start and has dropped down massively all the way to P8, and David Jun runs away with it. As Alessandro Iannone is around. Unknown is around, and did he get tapped by someone? We did not quite see, but he's holding up Livingston and Alhafi as well, which allows Amir Rhodes to, well, cross over the white pit exit line onto the track, but into P12, as I see Luka Yibok in P11, overtaking Christian Vazda, who's without a front wing. So it might have been a bit of contact between Iannone and Vazda that caused that spin in turn 1. As we see up ahead, Niranjan Kumar has moved to P3, but a bit of slide allows Duval to potentially set up an overtake here, and he does, and Niranjan Kumar is overtaken for P3 by Anthony Duval. Tries to get him back, but to no avail. Anthony Duval currently in P3, and that was a great overtake, although absolutely capitalizing on the mistake that Niranjan Kumar made. A bit of a lock-up there from Duval, as Jiri Kratochvil now puts his elbows out a bit to overtake Niranjan Kumar, but succeeds in doing so up into P4. And Kumar, as many places as he looked to have gained in the opening 2 sectors, has lost them back, it seems, almost immediately.
It's gone from bad to worse for Iannone. I think he didn't stall. There it is, the pigeon. Iannone, I think he missed the start, actually, not he stalled. And yeah, it wasn't really good that he was spun around in Tarzan as well, which is the turn 1 of this track. And yeah, as you said, the contact between Vazda and Iannone is definitely possible, I would say.
As we see, Christian Vazda seems to be unwilling to pit for a new front wing, and looks like he'll just tough it out for the rest of this race, as we did see a yellow flag flash briefly in sector 1, but it looks to be fine now, as Nova McKenna is chasing down Chris Deximo here for P6. And doesn't look quite close enough, as we see Anthony Duval has ended up in the gravel and is now in P6, and Chris Deximo moves up to P4. Duval, I would like to see what happened to Duval there after the action settles down a bit, but there's been some interesting happenings currently as Duval locks up and loses P6 to Mateusz Pishan as well. So Duval seems to be having some issues with braking, because that's the second time he's locked up entering that turn. It looked to be the same tire again, the right hand side front tire, as David Junt sets the fastest time of the race so far. Amir Rhodes is closing down on Christian Vazda for P13 and fairly easily overtakes him, as Vazda is out front wing, and Vazda seems to have touched side pods with Amir Al-Hafida and decides to fairly aggressively enter the pit lane, nearly losing his front right tire as well, as Amir Al-Hafi is now attacking Amir Rhodes for P13 and seems to have gotten it, not quite yet.
The Battle of Amirs has ended.
The Battle of Amirs has ended, unfortunately, with one more letter prevailing, but, well, I say unfortunately with the fact how it ended, but that looked like it was always going to happen, where Al-Hafi refusing to yield into what is a fairly middle speed corner, and it looks like he carried too much speed, at least from the angle that we were able to see at the moment of the happening. But we will have replays sometime soon within the race, as Anthony Duval tries to take on Mateusz Pishan for P6. Unsuccessful, a bit of contact there, but didn't look like anything that could cause damage to either cars, as Duval has now seemingly lost a lot of ground on Pishan, and Jiri Kratochvil now looks to be overtaking Duval, and from memory Kratochvil was fairly high up, so could it be possible there was something involving Kratochvil and Duval that caused Duval to be in the gravel, because I remember Kratochvil being in P3 in front of Niranjan Kumar for a second.
Yeah, possible that they have made contact, but I think why Duval is actually struggling, I think he has some damage on suspension somewhere, maybe.
And we did have some information by Fabian. Oh, there we go. As the replays go up, as we see the start of the race. Let's see what happened to Yanone there. As we see the lights popping on yet again. And that was
stalled.
He did stall. So he stalled on the start, and then what happened was the loser rear end? No, oh,
Yeah.
Winchester. Very interesting. It looked almost as if he got.
Oh, Janone stalled again.
Very, very.
Pigeon.
The pigeon is not what we're looking at. What we're looking at is what happened here between.
Oh,
Ooh.
very lucky.
Could have ended very much worse for both Vazar and Amir Rhodes. As we see now what happened to Anthony de Wall that caused him to go into the gravel.
Way too wide there. Skating on the curb. Someone followed him there.
That looked like Kratochvil. I think that might have been Kratochvil because it looked like a black and blue car, and it was Kratochvil indeed.
Maybe. I'm not sure. Let's see. Oh, yeah, it was Jiri.
Too aggressive on the curb and takes the escape road. Not quite. But, too aggressive on the throttle there, coming off the gravel and nearly goes into the back of Martin Rietveld. As we see now what happened to Luka Jibok. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce his last name.
Everyone making mistakes on that corner.
Everyone seems to be way too comfortable with taking so much of the exit curb through that turn.
So
and the Kratoch will do it again because he has,
he has done it again,
managed to slow it down before hitting the wall again, but people seem to be fairly comfortable with taking the exit curb there. As we see yellow flags flashing while watching the replay, Christian Vazda managed to save some face with a fairly nice flick. As I'm assuming this is what the yellow flag that we just saw flash. Fabian says yes, as Anthony Duval and Mateusz Piszczan.
Okay, that wasn't nice.
Stays in the
Very lucky.
Yeah, very lucky to have not been collected there. As Duval now drops into 12th. Very interesting that at first he tried to move while Reitberg and Kratochvil are passing by, and that is Max Livingston. And was there? He stole the car. Was there contact there between Duval and Livingston? Guess no contact. That's.
He just got onto the dirty part of the circuit, so.
And managed to get the car going again. Very unfortunate for Max Livingston, but as I said, he didn't quite have enough time to get comfortable with the car yet, but I'm sure with enough time he'll be able to get up to speed and be further up the front of the field than he is currently. Speaking of further up the field, not that far, as we see yellow flags in sector 2. Alessandro Yano, as Livingston is dropping and Livingston is out of the race, but as we're currently focusing on what Yanone is trying to do, and that is overtake Luka Zibok, and he almost managed to set up an overtake right before sector 3 as he goes onto the exit curb, and that is a significant contact. It was lucky not to have lost his either front wing or front left tire, but that is sure to have caused him a great deal of suspension damage, and I think Yanone will now just have to get it across the line home and hope to capitalize on reverse grid pole, well, not reverse grid pole, but reverse grid for race 2. As Anthony Duval is now trying to overtake Lucas Zibok as Yanone is out of the way. He's managing to get some good slipstream, but this is not quite a good part of the track to overtake, although Duval will try and make it work. There was a slight bit of contact, at least it looked that way, But Anthony De Vol manages to pass Luca Zibok, and it looks like some fairly fine racing as Zibok looks to get him back, but wasn't quite close enough, and Anthony De Vol is now storming away in P9 and is aiming further up for Jiri Kratochwil, and that'll be a hell of a... That'll be a fairly long way between De Vol and Kratochwil. 4 seconds is the gap. As we see now what happened to Max Livingston. Could he have taken too much of on the grass, on the gravel? He's still on full throttle and smacks himself into the barriers.
Yeah, lost the front left maybe.
Quite hard to see from that angle, but we definitely did see his front wing sliding away. So we know he lost that for sure. As we turn our attention from one black and blue car to another, as Chris Deximo in P5 seems to be gunning for more, as Nova McKenna is not far, only 7/10 in front, as Nova McKenna seemed to have picked up a bit of grass there on entry for that turn. But Chris Deximo is going to have to be looking at both sides here. As close as he is to Nova McKenna, Mateusz Pishan is also fairly comfortably closing in on him as well.
Also, as you mentioned, reverse grid. Quick reminder to common viewers and new viewers, as in Academy Series we have a rule that race 1 result-based top 15 will be reversed. So Max Livingston is reverse grid pole for race 2. And Vasta is second for the time being, at least. But yeah, as you said, Chris Deximo and Mateusz Pishan now fighting.
As Mateusz Pishan has overtaken Chris Deximo while we were talking about the reverse grid pole. And Chris Deximo not quite close enough, but thought about possibly making a lunge into turn 1, thought better of it, and will be aiming for a different chance, as Mateusz Pishan seems to have lost a bit of time on Nova McKenna while battling Chris Deximo. The gap went from 0.7 to 1.6 seconds now, so either Mateusz Pishan has dropped off the pace or Nova McKenna has picked it up. Or there could have been something that happened while Pishan and Deximo were battling that allowed McKenna to peel away, as we see 2 cars there, one being McKenna and the other. I think that is Christian Vazda who's being lapped.
Exactly.
It is. So Christian Vazda has led through Mateusz Pishan, and Alessandro Iannone is back battling Luka Zibok after failing the first time around.
Oh!
Ooh, fairly confident sticking it on the outside there, and he might just be able to make it work here. A bit of contact there, bit of shoving there from both sides. Zibok wide, but manages to retain that 10th place for now, and that was some fairly entertaining racing there by Zibok and Iannone.
I think Iannone now on the start finish straight, or even here, Ariel Luendik Bocht is going to overtake as Zibok. I thought he was going into the pits already, but yeah, it seems like Iannone can't make the move stick yet into Tarzan, as we have a yellow in sector 1 who is falling down the pack. Oh, okay, Christian Vazda.
Well, nobody. I don't think Christian Vazda can fall any more than he has already. Fairly unfortunate he is all the way down there, but he will have reverse grid second place for, well, the second race. So hopefully he managed to turn it around.
Let's hope so. As Iannone and Luka Zibok are fighting it out quite hard. And now going into bocht number 9 and now bocht number 10. Iannone is the same distance from Zibok as he was the lap before, and now Iona gets a good exit again from Bocht 10, and now going into Hans Ernst Bocht. Maybe he can make the move. From the outside, Iona, they made contact.
Fairly ambitious to keep it stuck in there. They have only his front wing alongside G-Box rear left suspension, so fairly ambitious to keep it, as I said there. But unfortunately enough, no major harm looked to be caused to either drivers, as they're still there and the battle is still ongoing, as G-Box seems to be swerving around fairly aggressively on the front straight to break the toe, but he locked up and the Unknown looks to be capitalizing on that. Will he be able to make the move here? No, he moves out just in time, as G-Box seems to be fairly loose in the back there through what I think is turn 4.
Hugenholz, yeah.
Yes, as then almost side by side as we see, I think that's Christian Vazda up in front. Iannone manages to save from going into never mind. And I think the tyre wear, including the suspension damage he sustained earlier, is finally getting to Iannone. I think that's Christian Vazda in the grass, it is.
Not grass, gravel.
There's plenty of both here, so
yeah.
Either way, I think
we can't tell the difference. They are the same thing.
We see smoke rising up. All we know is that it's not smoke from the cars, but smoke caused by the cars.
You never know. Maybe it's a car on fire. As Matthias Bischken looking into Tarzan, but not making the move yet on Nova McKenna. Let's see if he can make the move through Hugenholz.
I do not think so, but you mentioned cars on fire, and Mateusz Pishan is certainly on fire. He's moved up, I'm fairly certain, 8 places from where he started, and gunning for more. 7 places, apologies. So he's the biggest gainer in this race, and the Unknown, unfortunately, the biggest loser. But to gain 7 positions, even in Academy, and even as someone who's been a career ladder winner, is no feat to laugh at, so congratulations to Mateusz Pishan, I guess you could say so. And yeah, I think he's definitely going to be wanting more here.
Oh yeah, for sure. Let's see, it's just a more... It's just... yeah. How would I say? How's the catchphrase? It's just about time he will make the move, or something like that. As well as Chris Deximo is catching up to them, as it's going to be a three-way fight.
Yes, and Chris Deximo, who, as we mentioned, fairly impressive qualifying result for a debutant, as Mateusz Pishan and Nova McKenna, as almost some sort of ritual dance, as there's a bit of contact there, a bit of bumping tires, but nothing that could cause any damage, any major damage to either cars. And Mateusz Pishan is through into P4.
In Academy, which is against the rules, but yeah, who listens to the rules anyway?
Well, it'd be nice if they did. I think they are, because banging tires like so doesn't look like it'll cause any major damage, as even though it is not nice to see. But
Mateusz struggling now.
It might be the tire wear getting to her, and Mateusz Pishan seems to be running away with P4, as we see yellows in sector 1. But I would like to stay on board and see what Nova McKenna will try and do. Not a move here, as Pishan fairly comfortably glided through that section of the track and looked to have gained even the tiniest advantage on McKenna, as McKenna
was the wrong line.
Fairly aggressive there on entry and has lost a lot of time on Pishan, as we move back and see Iannone still attacking Luka Zibok, And I did see them swap places for a split second. So Iannone, or with all the damage that he sustained in this first race, is still managing to put up a fight for P10 against Luca Zibok. So that's fairly admirable from Iannone. And with Slipstream, I think he might be able to get Zibok on this front straight as Zibok swerves to the right to defend and break the toe, and has managed to defend it successfully for the first turn. Iannone is still somewhat there, but not there enough to try and make a move. Very good defensive from Luca Zibok here.
Yellow's flashing in sector 3 for Ami Oates, so maybe a little spin.
Possibly, but there seems to be enough action for us to have our hands full, so as unfortunate it is for Amir, as we see Alessandro also having his own little gaps in his grip. Very close he is there, and he looks to be setting up yet another move or attempt at a move on the outside, as Zibok doesn't leave him quite enough room, and Sergei Soroka is out from P2. And what happened to Sergei Soroka?
What has happened there?
No. As we enter the final lap, we see that Mateusz Pishan has gone from fourth to third, but
it's a
disconnection. Yeah. That is unfortunate, as we see Amy Rhodes there in the pit lane with our front wing as well. But this was unfortunate, as we were not able to see what ended up happening in the fight between Zibok and Iannone, as Mateusz Pishan, who we see now, moves on pit to P3, and Niranjan Kumar moved up into P2. And one driver who we've not seen since the start of the race, really, with fairly good reason, David Junt, is sailing, is coasting away in P1, a 10-second gap between him and second place, and he's running the penultimate turn. Very comfortable race 1 victory for the Swiss driver, and I mean, there's not much that can be said about a performance this impressive, really, other than congratulations David Junt, as we see Christian Vazda deciding to take yet another front wing change or potentially end the race. I did not see whether he crossed the line in the pit lane before David Junt overtook him or before David Junt crossed the line. So it remains to be seen whether Christian Vazda will have to do another lap. But Alessandro Iannone has managed to pass Luca Zibok, and Chris Deximo did not manage to pass Noah McKenna, so McKenna will settle for P4 as Luca Zibok now still in P10, but has lost P9 to Alessandro Iannone, and it seems like Alessandro Iannone will keep that P9, which would have been a P10 had it not been for Soroka's disconnect. So on the final lap, Luca Zibok gives it his all, but not quite close enough, and Iannone beats Zibok to what would have been P10, is now P9, as Zibok seems fairly elated with that P10. Amr Al-Hafi crossed the line in P11. Christian Vazda is still out there. Amir Rhodes seems to be out there as well. And
I must say, hats off for Niranjan Kumar, who has taken his first podium on his debut. So
no, that would not be correct, as Mateusz Pishan seems to be holding an impromptu race with Christian Vazda even following, crossing the checkered flag, and a bit of a bump there, but I don't think it's anything that either will mind, as they're close friends. As, I mean, not everyone's crossed the line, but everyone has got their positions sealed, and those positions are David Junt, our race winner in race 1, Niranjan Kumar, who returns for the first time after the season opener in Bahrain, now in P2. Mateusz Pishan, who finishes in P3, Nova McKenna beats Chris Deximo for P4, which means the Filipino ends in P5. Martin Reitberg, the home Grand Prix attendee, in 6th. Zurich Rohtjarv in 7th. Anthony Duval in 8th. Alessandro Iannone in 9th. And Luca Gibok to round out the top 10. In 11th place is Amr Al-Hafi. Sergei Soroka in 12th, despite his disconnect, which caused his DNF. Amir Oates in 13th, Christian Vazar in 14th, and Max Livingston, the only person to have crashed out of the race, in 15th. And very unfortunate for Max, but he could have reverse grid pole to make things right for himself.
Yeah. Race 2 is always more interesting than race 1. Oh, pigeon.
Seagull.
Yeah, I'm not accepting the fact that it is a seagull. I would say it's
because it is a seagull.
Who knows? Maybe Netherlands is weird and it's a pigeon.
I'm sorry, but I do not think that the Netherlands are quote-unquote weird enough to have seagull-looking pigeons.
I would say it's a pigeon. Estonians have pigeons.
Right, enough about pigeons and seagulls and everything. I think it's about time that we take a bit of a break between the races, and I think we'll be seeing you, or well, I hope that we'll be seeing you all shortly.
Yep, I hope to see the pigeon in race 2.
He's fucking...
Welcome back. Me and Lorenzo have reached an agreement that it isn't a seagull, neither a pigeon, it is a crow. White crow.
It's not an agreement I'm happy to have, but since we can't seem to agree, the crow, as we saw there, has decided to pay us a visit yet again. And we'll be seeing more of it throughout the second race and throughout this fairly short
I
warm-up
want to hear
session
it
as well.
sing.
Yeah?
Yeah?
I don't think crows sing. I don't think they're part of what people call singing birds. I think there's like... I mean, if you want to hear it sing, like, we can say it's a massive white canary instead.
Yeah, crows are singing. They sing softly and at a close range during courtship.
No, I do not think I can agree with you on that. I don't think crows sing. No, they screech.
Ew.
No, they screech.
No. You disgust me.
How? I'm sorry, could you compare a crow to something like a canary?
What?
In terms of... Do you not know what canaries are?
Let me Google it. Canary, wait.
They're small yellow birds.
Oh. Yeah. Huh. Okay. Yeah.
Right, so have you decided then?
No.
That's great.
No,
Anyways,
it's not
moving
great.
on from...
I say crows sing and you accept the fact.
You can accept it, I won't.
Yes, I will accept it.
That's good for you, I won't.
Yeah, I will make it.
Right, anyways, enough about the flora and fauna of the subjectively great country of Netherlands. We
Insert
have...
subject here. GPVWC insert subject here. Nice.
Yeah?
Yeah? See? We can agree on something. For once.
As... For once. You say that as if we're having knives up against each other's throats this entire time.
Yeah. You would state otherwise.
We have Philip Chavinsky in our chat asking whether this is an Academy live stream or a National Geographic replay.
It's both.
A bit of both. It's a bit of both.
Yeah, I would like to be Beer Grylls, and you can be whoever.
You mean Bear Grylls?
Yeah, whatever his name is.
Yeah. I can be Martin.
Or
Attenborough.
David Attenborough. Yeah.
No. No, you called this on being Bear Grylls already. I'm David Attenborough, even though I called him Martin first
I
time
want to
around.
switch.
No, it's too late.
Yeah, we should change the GPV logo to National Geographic logo. Or make our own logo.
See, I feel like if GPVWC changed its entire logo to the exact same one that National Geographic uses, there'd be quite a lot of legal trouble, so let's not do that.
Yeah, that's not my problem, to be honest.
It's not, is it?
Yeah, it isn't. That's what I said.
Yeah, well, how do you expect anything to happen then? If there's lawsuits by massive National Geographic happening.
We just changed the color.
It doesn't change the fact that it's still the
isn't-
exact same look. No,
It's
listen.
one-on-one National Geographic logo then.
It's very clearly a copy, just with one changed color.
Okay, I would put a G inside the logo. Is that better? Do you think there's no letter G anywhere within the two words National Geographic? I want you to have a think of this. I would put a whole academy car inside that square that National Geographic has. Then they can't sue us. Yeah, I have to talk to management about this.
No.
Yeah,
no,
I will.
no, we don't.
I will.
No, we actually don't.
It is possible.
I do not like the fact that I just saw a notification pop up in the GPV media group server. As you said that. No, Kurt hasn't asked about National Geographic rebrand yet, everyone. We can live in peace for now.
Yeah, yet. Watch me.
Anyways, enough.
Do it.
Anyways, enough about.
Next round in Brazil or wherever it is, you will see a National Geographic logo. And I will be at David Attenborough and Lorenzo will be Pierre Greves or whoever the guy was.
Right, enough about the flora and the fauna and David Attenborough, Bear Grylls, National Geographic, Brazil, which, as you mentioned,
very rare white crow.
The red Dutch white crow, as we see.
A very rare GPV Academy car.
No, I feel like that's unfortunately not a fairly rare sight to see Academy cars in.
Again, the white eagle.
The eagle. Who is that practicing race starts? Is that Christian Mazda?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Well, seeing as on RaceView there only appear to be 13 people, so there's 2 people missing. Those would be.
One is upgrading to Windows 11, we know.
Yes, I was planning on mentioning that. I did get a message from Max Livingston in my DMs, as I was the one who introduced him to the league, saying he won't be able to do Race 2 as his computer decided to update system in the middle of the race. So yeah, unfortunately, as I mentioned, Max Livingston might be able to improve on his fairly underwhelming Race 1 and Race 2 with a reverse grid pole. Doesn't look like it'll be happening, but I'm trying to figure out who the second person missing is. Mateusz Pescian is here, Martin Reitberg is here, Nova McKenna, Amaral Hafe, Christian Vazda, Alessandro Iannone, Sergei Soroka. It's Sergei Soroka.
Oh. Yeah, he disconnected. Also, I have a strange feeling that at the end of the day I will email National Geographic. Can we use your logo, please?
Yeah, it's gonna end up in the spam folder of their email account, and I see.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but it's reached a point that Chris Williamson, who's the race director for this race, shout out to you, Chris, for doing everything you do for this league, and he's now mocking you for calling the seagull a pigeon.
Oh my god. I'm speechless. People appreciate me for what I'm doing.
Right. Anyways.
Oh no, I'm colorblind. Okay, the seagull is now full black.
Yeah, I don't think it is. Anyways, enough about seagulls and pigeons and whatever birds are out there. No, I do not want to hear anything more about any type of bird. Until Race 2 ends, I want to hear nothing about birds. If you mention the word bird, I will strangle you live on stream here.
Spam bird.
I will extend my arms all the way to Estonia to do it.
Yeah, so chat spam bird in the chat.
Anyways,
I will call National Geographic.
Why don't you call out the starting grid for Race 2 instead?
Anyways, Vazda is leading the pack, followed by Amir Oates, Amir Alhafeg, Luca Gibok, Alessandro Iannone, Antonio Duval, Jiri Kratochvil, Marta Repek. Speed up, come on. Chris Deximo, Nova McKenna, Mateusz Bijan, Niranjan Kumar, and David Yant. Yeah, that was quite quick. Oh, yeah, and position 0, the black pigeon.
Not black, not a pigeon. I do not know where you've seen either of those things, but
yeah, I will talk management that we will get at the side of the road in Brazil a pigeon.
What do you want? Do you want like a golden pigeon statue in the pit lane in Interlagos?
No, I want a real pigeon 3D model at the side of the road.
At this point, just put a pigeon on your helmet for the last 2 Formula Sprint 2 rounds.
You know, that's a good idea for my Abu Dhabi helmet.
See, there we go, it's settled.
Okay, I will write to James Knox, who is making my helmet. I want a pigeon on the helmet.
I'm fairly certain he's watching the race, because I can see him in the YouTube chat.
Yeah, for
somewhere.
Sure.
So James, if you're watching this, just indulge him, man. As I did see Amir Rose and Amaral Havi have a bit of a moment in the background there. Hopefully nothing serious happened, as everyone seems to be warming up the tyres coming off the banked final turn. The name of which is Ariel Bocht.
My helmet will be based on pigeon poo.
That's... Let's move away from pigeons and helmets and watch today's second race. Would you like to call out the lights for this one?
Yep.
Then do so. Once they start.
1, 2, 3. I can't count no more.
Well, that's not great.
It's go for race 2. And really good start off the line for Kiki Vazda, who takes the inside line going into Tarzan. And now Amir Oates trying to go through the outside in Tarzan. And Kiki Vazda now through Tarzan, he still holds first place, as Anthony Duval has raised up a position to P2. Oh, and there's contact between Amir Oates and Anthony Duval.
And seems like Amaral Hafi got collected in that, unfortunately, and as Lucas Zibok, there's still yellow flags, not anymore, but Lucas Zibok seemed to have been involved in a separate accident, because that one looked farther back than what happened between Duval, Oates and Al Hafi. As Duval and Vazda and Kratochvil is now in the lead, and a lot of things happened there that I would like to have a look at later. And all we know now is Jurek Kratochvil is leading the second race of today's Academy Series Dutch Grand Prix, with Alessandro Iannone in second and Mateusz Piszczan in third.
The Pigeon Grand Prix, you mean?
No more pigeon until the end of the race. Nova McKenna gets squeezed to the curb by Chris Deximo there, who manages to do it to a manner where it's not illegal, but is enough to keep him in fourth place for now, as McKenna gets a good enough tow exiting the final turn to get alongside Deximo, and I think she'll be able to clear him here into the first turn, and she does so. Nova McKenna moving up into P4, and Chris Deximo yet again in P5 behind Nova McKenna in fourth. We've reverted now with those two back to the final results of the first race. Anthony Duval has dropped to 7th after that contact with Vazda, as we see Piszczan a bit loose there, but is trying to get alongside Alessandro Iannone and try and make a move here, but pulls out and knows better than to try a move on the outside there. Smart there by Piszczan, and is going to buy this time behind the Iannone, which...
Did you see Anthony Duval's wheel? How bent it was. Can we see the onboard again on?
Could we see Anthony DeWall's?
Look at that.
Oh wow! That is a substantial amount of suspension damage, and it's a miracle how Anthony DeWall is managing to keep it on track.
He's still fighting with it.
He's still fighting David Young for P7, where his steering wheel essentially at a 45-degree angle. He's crabbing along the racetrack, and he's still managing to fight for position. Anthony DeWall, I think that's fairly admirable, despite the fact that
the pigeon approves.
As Jiri Kratochvil sets the fastest lap of the race, Iannone and Pischan swap around positions. Iannone is still in second though, as he's not going to be under any threat by Pischan yet, although the slipstream here might just be enough to get Pischan back alongside Iannone again and try a move, and Pischan is alongside Iannone, but not quite there yet to try and get a move done. He's still very close. It doesn't look like, never mind, Pischan seemed to have slowed down a bit more to avoid contact with the back of Iannone's car there. But what I was going to say is the dirty air doesn't seem to be affecting him all that much, as Anthony DeWall has dropped
totally
2 places.
crab walking.
He is crab walking down the track, and that's a sad sight to see for someone who we mentioned would be one to watch for today. And Happy seems to have gotten a penalty. I'm assuming it's for track limits, which
I think it's for exceeding the speed in pits as he just then exited.
And doesn't look like it'll matter, unfortunately, as Amir Al-Hafi has decided to call it quits for tonight, and we are now down to 12 people as Mateusz Pischan tries a lunge on the outside of Iannone, and Iannone looked like he almost tapped the...
Oh, here goes Pischan.
Definitely contact there. Whether it was damage inducing for either of them or just one of them is something that I wasn't able to get a good look at, but Pischan definitely shoved his way through into that P2, and the Iannone definitely won't be happy with that, and it'll look to get that P2 back.
The crab walking car of Anthony DeWall has actually retired, unfortunately, so long lived.
He has, and unfortunate end for what could have been a very promising round for Anthony DeWall, but I'm sure that, not sure, but fairly hopeful that that isn't the last we'll see of him, as he proved both in qualifying and in the public practice server that he is definitely a driver who has the pace to do well. He's just seemingly not being fairly lucky today, as we see yellow flags in sector 1 flashing for about a second, so I would not assume it's anything major, as we see Chris Deximo trying to get the slipstream off of David Yunt, who's getting fairly good slipstream off of Niranjan Kumar, which is cancelling out Chris Deximo's attempts, as David Yunt also set the fastest lap of the race there, that lap, Kurt.
David, yeah, he's quite quick, but him winning this race is quite, I would say, unlikely. But you never know. There's 10 laps still to go. And it seems like his pace is really strong. But overtaking on this circuit is quite difficult, as we have a lot of smooth corners and quite. Oh, as I say that, Niranjan Kumar makes a mistake.
He does, and David Yunt moves up into P5, which means from where he started in 13th, he's now gained 7 positions, or 8?
8.
8. Yes, and that's not going to be the biggest gains so far, as Mateusz Pischan has gone up 9 places into P2. So we have some big movers and big droppers to die. tonight in this race. And Christian Vazda has dropped 9 places. Lucas Zibok and Damir Rose 7 each. Martin Reitberg is the only person who hasn't changed positions really so far. And I did have a question from Fabian asking whether it's time for replays, and I think the action has settled down enough for us to take a look at some replays and see just what has happened so far in this race. This is what happened to Lucas Zibok at the start of the race. We did see him involved in what looked like a different accident. Ooh, just looked like he lost his car there. Didn't look like any contact. He stole the car, as well as I would like to see from the onboard of Zibok what exactly happened there, as that's who was he alongside Amral Hafi, as that's the contact between Duval and Oates, which unfortunately involved Al Hafi. This is the onboard of Lucas Zibok, and let's see whether there was any contact or just
by himself.
All by himself, carried too much speed through turn 3. Did not expect the car in front, which was Amir Rose if I'm not mistaken, to be so slow, and had to slow down fairly aggressively and lost the rear end because of that, as we see what happened to Anthony Duval after that contact with Christian Vazda, and that is a fairly massive smack to the wall. And yeah, fairly obvious as to why and how he sustained that suspension damage. This is what happened to Amral Hafi, one of our 2 DNFs in this race. Lost the rear end and into the wall. Lucky to have not lost his front right either, but lost his front wing. Sped in the pit lane.
Look at Zibok. Oh, lost it.
Loses the rear end, saves it from the wall. He's slowed down by the gravel, and unfortunate for him, but no damage seemed to be sustained there, so luckily enough Zibok can continue.
Oh, Christian
Vazda has in the meantime, has also DNF from the race. Very sad to see Kiki not finishing the race. But yeah, after the contact between him and Duval in lap 1, it is fairly possible that he also sustained some damage that either caused him to call it quits or caused him to have a bigger crash later on. What show these it was, we do not know, but there is a chance we'll see replays at the end of the race again, as Jiří Kratochwil is now trying to defend P1 from Mateusz Pishan, who just set the fastest time of the race, a 1:30 flat. And Pishan is left Iannone fairly comfortably behind. The gap was half a second right before we started looking at replays. It's now 1 full second, and it's only been 2 laps. The gap to Kratochwil though has halved from a second to half a second, and it looks like his biggest enemy now, as I said earlier, the dirty air didn't look to be affecting too much on Iannone, but it looks to be affecting him a bit more on Kratochwil, who locked his front right brakes there, which allowed Pishan to edge a bit closer, although he was loose through the middle of the corner there, which also let Kratochwil escape back that tiny bit more. So it's really just a question of which of these drivers will either wear out their tires first or force the other into a mistake, Kurt. Kurt, you there?
Vision. Mateusz Pishan is half a second down from Jiří Kratochwil. Can he make the move into Tarzan? Maybe he is too far. Maybe he will lunge into the inside. He looks for it and he goes for it. They are side by side. There is contact through Tarzan. And Mateusz Pishan is through for the time being. Really nice overtake from the Polishman.
That is a very, very nice move from the pole. And I think Mateusz Piszczan will fairly comfortably make a good gap on Kratochwil now. It's already at 3/10, was 4/10 a bit earlier. And we did mention at the beginning of the stream, Mateusz Piszczan obviously started the season in Super Lights, moved down after a couple of rounds into Formula Sprint 2 with permission of management. And I think that not tiny bit, that fairly big bit of the experience gap, both in sim racing and just in the league in general between Piszczan and Kratochwil, will allow Piszczan to make a fairly big gap on Kratochwil, and he already has it at almost a full second. As we see, Lucas Zibok is soon to be lapped, and he did have a bit of a spin there out of the penultimate turn. I'm assuming took a bit too much curb and lost the rear end, or potentially maybe has even gone onto the gravel. But moving on from that, as I was talking about Piszczan and his experience over Kratochwil, I think Piszczan, all he has to do now is just bring it home, and he'll fairly comfortably do it. So I think Kratochwil's race now is for P2 with the Iannone.
Yeah, now it's, as you said, now it's Alessandro Ione's turn to fight against Jiří Kratochwil, and it shouldn't be a big problem to him, as Ione is quite a quick driver. We have seen through the season in even higher steps of the career ladder, and yeah, I think second place is definitely possible for Alessandro Ione.
It is, and we're just over 5 laps to go. I say just over as we're now entering sector 3 of lap 10 of 15. Iannone's gap to Kratochwil seems to be oscillating quite a bit. It seems to be dropping to 5/10 and then at times rising up to 7/10. So it looks like Iannone doesn't seem to be as consistent in his lap times as he'd like to be to close down that gap on Kratochwil, although this slipstream down the front straight might definitely help him, as now there's 5 laps to go. The gap has gone down to 3/10 on that front straight, but he didn't get quite close enough with all of that slipstream, and the gap is now back up to 5/10. Iannone needs Kratochwil to make a mistake, and looks like Kratochwil took a fairly wide line through turn 4, which allowed Iannone to gain at roughly a 10th compared to what the gap has usually been. So Kratochwil also on the grass there on entry into that turn. So Iannone seems to be slowly but surely pressuring Kratochwil into mistakes, but also seems to be getting into mistakes himself. As we see in the distance, another factor that could help Iannone, Lucas Zibok, the lapped car, unfortunately for the Romanian, might hold up Kratochwil enough for Iannone to close the gap, but at the same time, no, Zibok will be the smarter driver and will let both through. Very respectful there from Zibok, and this allows Iannone and Kratochwil to have a clean battle between themselves. And as already said, I mean, the gap that Piszczan has formed is already at 1.7 seconds, as we see David Junt overtaking Nova McKenna for 4th. McKenna slots in behind Junt to have that slipstream. Will look to get back P4 into turn 1 and will do so maybe currently in front, although David Junt is still alongside, and McKenna seems to have yielded, and David Junt moves up into P4 for now.
It's quite easy move for him, and yeah, Nova McKenna again, the tire wear coming into play. It seems Nova McKenna is struggling again with the tire wear. Here you can see the dirty air is not helping him her either. So yeah, it's just she has nothing to do there. Just David is gone.
He doesn't look like to have formed that big of a gap so far. Although saying that, I seem to have cursed over McKenna as the gap went up by 0.3 by the time I finished my fourth. My question now is, does David Junt have enough tyre life and laps to catch up to Iannone and Kritochel and challenge them potentially for P2?
It is possible. I won't outline it, but yeah, it's not really. The probability for that is quite low, but yeah, you never know. Maybe he can do the impossible after all.
He could, but I did see him being stuck behind Lucas Zibok, although as I see just barely out the corner of my eye, turn 1 as we're following Jurek Kritochel and P2, David Junt seems to have clear Lucas Zibok on the front straight, so he does not have any lapped cars in front of him to obstruct him in chasing after Iannone and Kritochel. And Kritochel seems to be extending his gap on Iannone instead of losing it. Instead, he loses his rear end, takes too much curb, and Jurek Kritochel. Well,
No.
I said whether David Junt could catch up to Kritochel and Iannone to challenge for P2. Now he only has to challenge Iannone for P2 as Junt moves into third, and Kritochel, a bit of a weird rejoin, almost into the path of Niranjan Kumar, there into Bocht 9, and Kumar is now alongside Kritochel for P5, but Kritochel defends it fairly well, and Kritochel will know that he has blown what would have been a fairly impressive P2, and Kumar, bit aggressive on the exit curb there, but I think with Kritochel's tire life now taking a massive toll, that he'll be able to get enough slipstream, and he has passed Kritochel on the front straight so far, and I think he'll be able to hold the position. Not quite. Kritochel still in front, although Kumar's not yielding yet, but he has now, and Kritochel keeps P5 for now. As we see yellow flags in sector 1 flashing fairly briefly, doesn't look like it was anything fairly significant, and this now looks to be the big battle in these last 2 laps, as all the other gaps seem to be fairly big. Iannone is 3 seconds behind Piszczan, Junt is 3 seconds behind Iannone, McKenna is 2 seconds behind Junt. So Kritochel is suffering from that spin the previous lap, just barely managed to save the car, but loses onto P5, and Jurek Kritochel from 2nd to 6th in the span of 2 laps, and that is a shocker for the Czech drivers. We see Lucas Zibok pulled off to the side. We did see yellow flags flashing a bit earlier, and they're still going. Lucas Zibok seems to have stalled his car there. Luckily enough, it was fairly distant from the racing surface, so nothing that could trouble the drivers on track. Seems to have managed to get this car going again, so unfortunate second race for the Romanian driver, but will be able to finish the race at the very least. One driver who'll be very happy with how he drove race 2 and who'll definitely be finishing it, Mateusz Piszczan, 3.7 seconds in front of Iannone in second, and the Polish driver has managed to make a massive gap, and I think there's a very minimal chance, if any chance at all, that he'll squander this victory. And although it might be a bit early to say, I think Piszczan has driven a very impressive race. Yes, we mentioned already how he has done super light, he has done Formula Sprint 2 early on in this season, but winning a race, any race really, in GPVWC is nothing to scoff at. And I think Mateusz Piszczan, as he rounds the final turn, can be very, very happy with himself for winning this Zandvoort race, as he decides to blow his engine to celebrate the victory. As
Have we talked about cars on fire?
He definitely is on fire now, as Alessandro Iannone and David Junt crossed the line to finish the podium. Noah McKenna crossed the line as well. Niranjan Kumar, has he crossed the line yet in P5?
Yes.
As Lukas Zibok has decided to not finish the race, he has DNF'd. Amir Rhodes, so this means Amir Rhodes is now the last car on track yet to cross the line. As we see front wing there, and that looked like blue colors, so that means Chris Deximo might have lost his front wing on the final lap. So I would like to take a look at a replay of what happened there, because I did see Deximo go into the pit lane before everyone else. Might not mean anything seeing as the race was over, but now that Amir Rhodes has crossed the line, and Lukas Zibok did also not finish the race, so I would like to see whether there was anything that happened between Deximo and Zibok. Could we get a replay, Fabian? Thank you very much. As we're now following Chris Deximo.
Oh. Wow, okay, that's a hard hit there.
Just took too much curb there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But didn't look like he would finish anywhere beside P7. Doesn't mean that's any less of a sour taste in his mouth, but still. I would like to see what happened to Lukas Zibok if possible, Fabian. No, I suppose not. Or I suppose yes. Yeah. Apologies, Fabian. Luke, oh, he's not got a front wing.
He was just having fun, I guess.
Off into the wall, and he's managed to lose his rear left wheel somehow from that. Where did he lose his front wing though?
He tried to fly, I guess.
Oh. Yeah, not much that can be said about that incident. Unfortunate end of the race for Lukas Zibok.
Lukas Zibok isn't a good role model for children. Children, if you are watching, you cannot fly, so don't try, please.
Well, that's a bit mean to say, but
I'm just trying to keep people alive, so they don't jump off their roof trying to fly.
Well, I don't see how they fit a car on their roof to try and fly, but either way, the winner of today's second race is Mateusz Piszczan. Alessandro Iannone in P2 after a fairly underwhelming race 1 redeems himself. David Junt gets a double podium for this round, finishing in P3. Nova McKenna finishes both races in P4. Niranjan Kumar in P5, Jurek Rohtjarv P6, Chris Deximo P7, Martin Reitberg, the only Dutch driver on today's race, P8, Amir Rhodes, the last finisher, in P9, and then the DNFs of Lukas Zibok in 10th. In 11th place was Christian Vazdar, in 12th Anthony Duval, and in 13th Amr Al-Hafi. Alright then, do you reckon we'll be getting any interviews? Or...
Think so. Seems like not.
We've only just started, give it a second.
Let's give it a minute.
While we wait for any possible interviews, what were your opinions on these two races, Kert?
Yeah, they were interesting, for sure. As a academy is always interesting, so yeah, it didn't disappoint. As we have Amir.
Yeah, we have Amir Rhodes and David Junt. Feel like seeing as David Junt performed a bit better, we can get him in as the first interviewee of the night. And we welcome David Junt to the interview booth. David, can you hear us?
Yes, hello.
Hello there. Right, Academy returns after quite a long while away, but your skills didn't seem to have gone away. A double podium in today's round. How would you summarize your races today?
Well, I wasn't sure. Like, I needed a fire stand so I could race, but I mean, I've like some kind of motor, you know, some memory, motor memory from like driving the tattoos around here in race control in you know, public. And I mean, it doesn't translate quite to this car because there's like the rear end is I mean, the general handling of the car is a bit different, but it did help that Zandvoort was being raced like in here, so I could go on quite well, and then with the previous setup it was actually a bit more helpful than without, of course. And well, qualifying, I don't know, I didn't expect that like I would have such a good pace with the car, or that the gap would be like that much, but I mean, I take it. And like at the start, I probably had like my best start ever from the clutch, and Sergi just followed me right behind me into turn one, and there was a bit of a chaos I heard behind. So it was like him and me, and I put a really consistent drive, tried to stay in the 30s, and Sergi was always not far away, and even Nirani and Kuma had really good pace, and they were also not that far away from each other. It's just a shame that Sergi then had a disconnect and lost that sure second place, and then Niranian up to second and Matej up to third. But yeah, it was. I'm not sure about the tire wear. Of course, in free track at the front, it was a bit easier because you've generally got no one ahead of you. I was trying not to lose the car because it was always it was going to be easy in Zandvoort. It might look easy, but it wasn't. But so in race 2, I was going to be. It's a shame that we lost 2 drivers. Like Sochi didn't come back, and Max Livingston, I think. I started from 30th, and of course took my time, was careful, and evaded some collisions there at the start. And of course, I noticed, like, even if the set was not being wrong, I didn't seem like I could quite hit enough the right times. I mean, of course, I was following, and I gotta watch out for, you know, not making mistake. But it felt like at the end when I looked at the tires that also the tire wear, you know, kind of showed up that it wasn't quite as easy to put the car through the apexes. So that's also why I probably lost a bit of time, and I was nowhere near that surprising 29.9 in the first race, where everything came together in the second race. And of course, as I said, wasn't quite there anymore. But I mean, profited from some luck that she respun out of like second, and I moved up onto the podium again. But Matej was unassailable, and he's also set as 30-0, so rightfully won the race. And Alessandro, after his, you know, slow start, still second on his pace, so I wasn't gonna be close anywhere near them anymore. But I mean, I take it. It was a fun race, really.
Absolutely. And seeing as there's one more round of Academy left in 2 weeks' time at Interlagos, I feel like it's fairly appropriate to ask whether we'll be seeing you in Academy next year as well, or whether you have any plans regarding 2026, any offers, any hopes, any wishes.
Well, I kind of like if I started something, like usually if I start something like this, I'm gonna see it through the end. Like at least, you know, when I, you know, judge the car or keep talking about it for the whole year, how it feels and how stuff could be improved and such, and you know, when like say setup learning or weather that will also be introduced. I think that would be good because that would generally people get to learn something. Yeah, I'm gonna make the last Academy round, even though I admit I would have been a fan of like some more standout tracks like Mandalika or Kuwait, just for the fun of it. But yeah, anyway, I will try to see it in Lagos, and then I kind of doubt I will back to the academy. Although it could be, I kind of liked the year of having fun and driving some unusual tracks. But I do have some offers right now, a bit up the ladder. I'm not really sure what it will be like depending on weekdays. Weekdays are sometimes kind of the hassle and tired from work and such and real life. So it's a bit maybe more difficult to get onto speed for these races. But I do have offers, and I'll see if maybe next year you'll see me back on the Carol ladder.
I see. Anything you would like to ask, Kurt?
Nope.
Right then. Well, if there's nothing Kurt would like to ask, and I think I've asked everything I could have, then I'd just like to thank you again, David, for joining us both on the track and here for the interviews today. And yeah, hope to see you on the Academy grid yet again in Interlagos. And well, I'm interested to see what 2026 brings you, now that you said you have offers from within the career ladder.
No, same. We'll see, but I hope to be back in 2 weeks. But anyway, thanks, and good night.
Good night to yourself as well. Right then, who do we bring in next? What about Nova McKenna?
Let's go for it.
Let's bring in Nova McKenna, the driver who finished P4 in both of today's races. Nova, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
Well then, as I mentioned just now, P4 in both of today's races. How would you go about summarizing them from your point of view?
Best race I think I've had in the 2 years now, I think, of racing in Academy. Well, if you ignore Misano, but that I wouldn't, I'd say, representative of anything, as there was only 6 people there. But double P4 in Zandvoort, I'd say, is a good result to take home.
Any battles that you had today that were particularly fun, or any drivers that you've not seen before but impressed you? Anything that you'd single out from today's race from your point of view?
I think the only battle I had was with Piscan for 2 laps into turn 1, because that's the only place where people can kind of get by. But other than that, it was no real battles. Just kind of quiet, really. Just try to keep my nose clean. That's about it.
Yeah, and you did mention this is your first Academy race. Well, not first, but you did say Misano had only 6 people. But you did mention this is your first Academy race in quite a while. Does that mean we could be potentially seeing you on the grid for Interlagos in 2 weeks' time?
Most likely. I enjoy Interlagos and want to round out Academy on a high note, hopefully.
Yes, and seeing as it's October time already, and the GPVWC season ending fairly soon, is there anything that you'd be able to share with us regarding anything you have in plan for 2026? Will you be driving for anyone in academy, or will you be with a team or anything of the sort?
Well, I'm planning to set up a team, hopefully second time lucky, but that's as much as I'm going to disclose.
So we could potentially be seeing you as a team owner next year then?
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Interesting. Is there anything else you can share with us regarding that, or is it confidential?
Not yet. Not yet.
Ooh, interesting. Anything you'd like to ask, Kurt?
No.
No? You're not really in the mood for asking questions today, are you?
To be honest, I'm dead inside. I'm so tired, man. I've talking about pigeons the whole day.
He's been thinking about pigeons the whole day. We had an extensive discussion about whether Zandvoort was full of pigeons or seagulls.
Oh yeah, as I heard, I have stream normally on in the background. It was just a great podcast. Doing some warm ups.
Yeah, I'm happy that you liked it.
They're seagulls, by the way, but just gonna.
Yeah, I would say they are eagles.
Alright then, since there's nothing left to ask, I'd like to thank you again, Nova, for joining us both on track and in the commentary booth for interviews. And hopefully we do see you on track for Interlagos in 2 weeks' time. And all I can say is I wish you all the best with your planned team entry for the 2026 season.
Thanks, fingers crossed again. But yeah, we'll see at GPV Day.
Exactly. Take care, Nova.
See ya.
Let's go for last one, I
Let's
think.
go. Well, since this is the last one, do you reckon we bring in Jiri, Kratochvil, and Amaroids together?
Uh,
I mean, there's only been 15 people driving. It wouldn't be fair to leave out of 4 people who want an interview to leave out one.
yeah, let's go for them both at the same time.
Yeah, let's bring in let's bring in both Amaroids
Yep.
and Jiri, Kratochvil.
Oh my god.
Well, since this is the last one, do you reckon we bring in a Jiri, Kratochvil, and Amaroids together?
I can hear myself.
Oh
Jiri,
my
Kratochvil, and Amaroids, you are in the commentary booth. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Yep,
think
I
it's
can.
just Jiri's mic.
I can hear myself through Jiri's microphone as well. That's very nice.
How?
Because you have the stream on in the background. That's how.
Yeah, sorry, I just turned it off now. So
Nah, no worries. Anyways, Amir, a bit of a lesser race results-wise compared to Jiri, but still a better race compared to Hungary from memory, and Jiri as well. Some fairly solid results. Unfortunately, race 2 turned out the way it did, but which one of you would like to go first to summarize your races from your points of views?
well, I think I start with race 1. I think.
Well, then we all start with race 1.
Yeah. Basically, like I went white like fries just because of the dirty air. Like I don't know, like as soon as I got close behind somebody, I just went white. In second race, I was careful, but in race 2, yeah, I turned to airway. In that one, hit the curb on the apex that pushed me wide on the outside curb, and that spun me around. Basically, all mistakes happened in the same damn corner.
Alright, that's race 1. What about race 2 though? We did see you be for quite a while in P2, and then with about 2 or 3 laps to go, you did have a bit of a spin exiting the same place again.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like I turned to airway and like took too much of the curb that pushed me wide, and yeah, the rear left wheel lost the grip.
Yeah. What about your races, Amir? How would you explain your races?
My goodness me. Up until practice, I think I was like 3-4 seconds off the pace. So the fact during qualifying, I managed to bring it down to a 1:32, which I honestly thought was impossible. Leading up to this day was quite good. Of course, big thanks for David, Judd, and Menno Clump, that if they're watching here, massive kudos to them for helping me as much as they can. And well, as we know, formation lap went to absolute crash because I was an idiot and I crashed on the formation lap, and I was like, goodness me, how am I going to recover from this? I was P13 out of 15 and I'm stuck on the pit lane. And then I saw Tarzan corner and I saw Alessandro Ione sliding and a traffic jam ahead of me. I just laughed like a maniac because it was the genius of your master plan that went to plan. Just laughed like a villain as I just overtook them and went up to P11 or 10 at that point. So,
And across the pit exit line.
across the pit exit line. So that was fun, and also I was briefly leading a bit because of the pit exit line. But yeah, it was a bit uneventful, just a couple of mistakes, and would have been a place that I probably should have gotten P11 in the first race. But kudos though to Amor Alfie down from behind to apply for the pressure as much as he can, and that did indeed cut me off at the end. And yeah, so that was indeed a bit of a learning curve to head over into the second race. And well, we know this was my second race front row start in a row. I started pole position back in Hungary, and we all know how that went. So it's like, my goal here is to not flip. And I celebrated because I didn't flip. So as you've mentioned yourself, Lorenzo, and you and Kert were both there, and like you saw me flip, and it was just like did some breakdancing, and I was just like, I don't want to be remembered for that, please, God, no. But no, I survived. It just instead I just forgot to hold on the brakes, and I hit the back of Anthony Duval on a space that wasn't there, and Amal Alafi that I battled with in the race one ended up the worst of it. But it was fine. Bit of recovery here and there. Couldn't quite jump to Mateus up ahead, and the best I could do was P9, which honestly I view that as a net win in my opinion.
Amir, we didn't commentate the race. We did a literal National Geographic documentary.
No, we commented. No. We commentated a race, and we did. It's a fact. The other fact is that Kert was insistent through both warm-ups that what's flying around Zandvoort is pigeons and not seagulls.
I became David Attenborough in second warm-up.
Kurt Rottenberg.
Yeah, now he's now insisted that we change the league logo to a National Geographic one as well.
That sounds absolutely incredible. I do
Write
want
you
to...
to me in Interlagos if you hear me, management, please do it.
Anyways, moving yet again on from pigeons and seagulls, which sounds like a really, really bad TV show. Seeing as you're both still here, Amir and Jiri, and seeing as Interlagos is in 2 weeks' time, the last academy round of the season, will either of you or both of you be participating in it?
Well, I will be definitely participating, and apart from that, I will be even doing Interlagos in FS2.
Ooh, are you able to share with us which team it will be, or?
Well, it's just academy team.
I see. What about yourself, Amir?
I think I might be. It is 2 weeks away, so a bit of times can change. So again, I wasn't at the previous race in Misano, partially because I was on the booth. But yeah, as you guys might know, I've not been racing for, at least on a sim, behind R Factor 2 for about 5 years, and then most of my experience since then was Project Cars 2 and maybe a bit of GTR 2 as well. So it feels like a new language getting back into R Factor 2, but I honestly felt I did pretty good, having been just about 2 or 1 seconds off the pace from, let's be honest here, from what we've seen at the grid, GPVWC career ladder esque drivers. I mean, everyone here was completely fantastic throughout the top 10 as well, and especially from people like myself as well. It's a nice learning curve to indeed learn from them, and I really hope for the people that are in the Academy series. It's nice to see the numbers, but I think it's also nicer, both as drivers and commentators, to see them progress up the ladder. And I just hope we get to see them in FS2, C, or higher next season.
Absolutely, and you did mention that it would be nice for some Academy series drivers to progress through to the career ladder. And seeing as Jiri gets a message, and also seeing as we're approaching slowly the end of the 2025 GPVWC season, is there anything that either of you can share with us about your plans, your intentions, or anything in that regard for the 2026 season? I already know some of Amir's plans, but I'm not going to be saying them out loud, so I'll leave that to him.
Okay, so I think what can be seen, I think, if people aren't realizing, I am trying to do a bit of my job to try and get through up to the pace and I'm not looking to do a main formal sprint 2-seat, but something along the lines of emergency or reserve is sort of what I'm aiming for. I don't think I'll ever be, well, not ever, but I guess for next season, be fast enough to match up through to a lot of the FS2 drivers, but that is sort of mainly my goal. And also to try and reach the, well, we've seen drivers progress through before in Academy before. Usually they would start maybe where I am or so and then end up a bit higher. So ending up around maybe for the top 5, hoping by the end of next year would probably be my goal. But as you've mentioned, Lorenzo, me and him have been a lot of discussions through for what next season could bring, and speaking to a lot of the people here at the waiting to be interviewed as well. There's a lot of word going around for it could be, as we mentioned before, silly season heading over into next season. There's going to be a lot of shuffling of drivers, a lot of shuffling of teams, and it's going to be very interesting to see all that unfold, especially whenever we get the announcement in Halloween time.
Absolutely, and seeing as you mentioned silly season, Jiri, will you be involved in that silly season, or is that something you cannot share with us? Do you have any offers for the career ladder?
There is a possibility that I will join like next season for the entire FS2 season, possibly. But I'm not sure if it happened yet, but there is high probability it will happen.
So you do have offers for FS2 teams for next season?
Well, I was talking with one of the team owners because he was already like sending a message in driver market, so I was already like replying to the message, and he kept me in his mind. So yeah, there is a possibility I will join if I don't know how many people will join FS2 next season. I'm not sure. But as Amir mentioned, it might be silly season.
Interesting. Right then, Kert, I'm assuming you don't want to ask any questions yet again.
Yep.
Very Spartan answers there from him.
Just watch all night pictures of pigeons.
Instead of counting sheep, you're going to be counting pigeons trying to fall asleep.
Yeah, exactly.
I will be counting cars.
Right then, well, since there's nothing left to ask either of you, I'd like to thank both of you, Amir and Jiri, for joining us on the grid and here for the interviews tonight. And yeah, hopefully all your plans for 2026 and hopefully your 2025 Interlagos races in the Academy Series turn out well. And yeah, all I can say is take care and good night to both of you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Also, big thanks to Kert and Lorenzo as well for their fantastic commentaries they've always been throughout all the Academy series. And big thanks as well to Fabian for all his magical work at the broadcast side of things. Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Likewise.
I thank you. Yeah, I thank you for the commentary too. It's great as always. And especially if do well, I want to always hear the commentary like I did in Magni Cars.
Thank you a lot for the nice comments, Jiri.
Okay, so see ya on next Tuesday, most likely.
We'll keep that in mind. Take care.
Yeah, you too.
Right then, ending on some fairly flattering words. So then, that was the 2025 GPVWC Academy Series Dutch Grand Prix, the 15th of 16 rounds this season, which means in 2 weeks' time we will be saying goodbye to you as Academy Series.
Yep.
Yep. We'll be saying goodbye to you as the Academy Series crew for quite a while. Should be back yet again in February, but I feel like all of us here will fairly comfortably say that we could definitely use that break. But yeah, the break isn't here yet. There's still Interlagos to do, and I am curious to see how Interlagos goes.
And I hope to see the National Geographic logo.
Yeah, we'll get some pigeons into Interlagos just for you, Kurt.
Yeah, much appreciated. I actually wrote to Remco, is it thinkable?
Oh, did you actually?
Yes, I did.
Alright, well, you heard there. We might see pigeons at Interlagos, people.
Yep.
But until Interlagos, I have been Lorenzo Eterovic-Funcic, joined by Kert Rohtjarv on commentary duty, and Fabian Jungbluth,
AKA David Attenborough.
aka David, and David Curtin Rottenborough,
Oh my god.
and Fabian Jungbluth with his great camera work. As Amir
Fabian
said,
Attenborough.
thank you yet again for the camera work today, Fabian, and all throughout the season. And yeah, we'll be seeing you hopefully in 2 weeks' time at Interlagos. And from everyone inside this commentary booth, thank you and see you then.
Yep, see you.